Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Quantum Health Connection podcast. My name is Heather Crimson. I am here with my wonderful co-host, Vanessa Baldwin. Today, we have a very timely episode. We will be talking all things stress. So at this time of year, we're coming up on the Thanksgiving holiday here in the States. And so we thought we would bring this to your attention and unpack and share a ton of different helpful things like practices and whatnot and tips, and also just basically a really good overview of stress and how it affects you from a quantum lens and just from a practical lens. And so welcome back to the show. Please give us a follow, a rate and review on whatever your favorite podcast is, up to 5 stars. We would really appreciate it so we can grow the show and get this information out to people. And also, please check us out on YouTube and subscribe to us there. Vanessa's is Bright Light Wellness, and mine is Enlightened Mood. All right, Vanessa, let's get started.
Oh man, it's such a timely episode, right? Because everybody is way more stressed around the holidays. And it's unfortunate because it's a time of year we should be doing more rest and relaxation. But this is how it is. Like, this is what our culture brings. So it's really important to chat about. And, we're going to help you give you some strategies on how to reduce your stress in your life right now for this time of year. And honestly, stress is just, it's a huge thing that we have to learn to manage and to build resilience around. And chronic stress, worry, fear, anxiety all lead to disease and even cancer. Like, I don't know if Paul's episode has come out yet. When this will come out, I think it will. And basically the root cause of cancer is stress, is chronic stress. So we really want to make sure that we're learning how to manage our stress and learning how to build that stress resilience, right? And chronic stress lowers mitochondrial efficiency by 15 to 20%. And that's the same amount as non-native EMFs, which is like crazy, right? So we don't want to be stressing about mitigating, our non-native EMFs, because then that's going to make our, stress and mitochondria go down even more because we're stressing about it, right? So it's like we have to like find this beautiful balance. But right now, this time of year, modern living, the hustle culture, the go, go, go lifestyle, all these things is going to mount a lot more stress on us, right?
Yep.
Whether it's like having to do it all, the pressure of having to attend it all the social things that we want to do, the financial stress that get added in this time of year. And we want to just give you some really good tips on how to make yourself a priority, how to reduce stress, and like I said, build resilience. So
Yeah, it's a really interesting perspective to look at your life through the lens of stress, Vanessa, because it really all does come down to our inherent nature, our how we're wired biologically, right? I mean, being alive is stressful. It's like, what am I going to do, right? What are my choices? And I have all these choices, and how do I conduct myself so that it serves me, my family the best? And so I think part of it is really about education. Part of it is about helping yourself with empowerment, and so that you can make choices. And it really stems from based on your values. So what is it that you're going to
mm,
prioritize in your life? Given that there's always going to be something that's coming at you, right, that you are going to have to figure out what to do about. And I think a key word that I want to point out that you just said is with the sort of societal expectations is what do you have to do? And
mm,
that's something I'm sitting with, like we're kind of in different places, like I'm older, I'm single now, I don't have kids, it's just me and my dog, and I get to make all these choices and I have more space and time. And you have a family and you have all kinds of family, extended family, and you have 3 boys and you're like super busy, right? You're trying to have your own business and da da da. And it's like, wow, that's a lot. So we all have our own unique situation. And our goal today is no matter where you're at, and what you're doing, right? How your life is to give you more education, more insight and awareness, and then invite you to make choices that support your nervous system. Because here's the thing, Vanessa, is that, I mean, it's been a long time, right? At 55, I didn't realize that my nervous system, it's just, I can only handle so much. Like I can only
mm.
do so much at one given time. Like even when I'm excited, like, oh, this is great, I got all this good stuff going on. But when there was a lot of busyness at my house a couple weeks ago, I ended up cutting myself when I was peeling carrots. Because even though it was all good, like holidays are fun, it's good, right? There's all this yummy stuff going on and activities and parties and da 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 and, shopping and, giving gifts. It's all very beautiful. But I think the lesson for me, the wisdom is that how much do I feel comfortable holding all at once in my nervous system? And
Mm.
I don't, we call it the window of tolerance in psychotherapy world and neuroscience world is like you have so much capacity. And again, this is tied to your mitochondrial health. Like Vanessa's saying, how
Mhm, mhm.
efficiently are your mitochondria able to manage all of your processes in your body, the bazillions, per minute or day or whatever, and create the energy and make structured water for you or exclusion zone water rather. All of that stuff is contingent upon mitochondrial health. I can't do all the things. Like I've had to learn, right? And then choose. Now I like it. It's like I'm not going to do all the things. And it's because I feel better then. So it's like we get stuck in this sort of like, oh my God, I have to do this party and I have to bake the cookies and I have to buy all the gifts and da, da, da. Do you really? Well, no, you
No,
don't. But if you don't, then it's like the beliefs are like, then I'm a bad person or I'm a party pooper or I'm like my kids are going to be disappointed or whatever. It's like I just want to put the frame around this.
oh my God, I love everything you just said. So the word that was coming to my mind was like, how much capacity do you have for
Yes.
stress, right? Like, which is exactly what you said, which was, and I love how you so beautifully tied it to the mitochondria, right? Because depending on how well your mitochondria are functioning is going to be how much stress resilience you really do have, right? And how much of that capacity you can hold or that window of tolerance, right? But I also think the most beautiful thing that you said is that you get to choose what you like, what you get to choose how much you engage in it, right? Like you get to make that decision, right? Like if you're going to have to be perfectionistic and do all the things and keep up with all the nonsense, and you don't have to do it all. Like you don't have to be it all or do it all. Like we're giving that permission right now. If you haven't heard this before, you don't. Like everything will not crumble. And this is, I am a hopefully a retired perfectionist. Sometimes it still creeps back in because those patterns, no, those patterns are ingrained in me. So they can creep back in easily. So now that I have awareness about it, I'm like, oh, I don't have to do that. Like I don't have to subscribe. I can say no. Because we can easily just fall back into those patterns, right? But I'm here to tell you, like, you don't have to do it all and things will still be fine. Like, you don't have to, everything doesn't have to be done. You don't have to make cookies for everybody. You don't have to attend all the holiday parties. You don't have to look perfect. The house doesn't have to look perfect. The kids don't have to have the matching outfits. Like I've done that all. Oh, like I'm serious. Like you don't have to. So I just want to say that because if nobody's given you that permission to say no and to say like I don't have to subscribe, we're giving you that permission right now because I know how much you can feel that pressure to have to be there and do all the things around this time of year.
Absolutely. And there's an easy way to gauge that. There's a very easy way. And, a lot of this, Vanessa, is tied to beliefs, like what you believe about yourself. Like, I am the person who does X. And if I don't do X, then what is going to happen? These consequences, oh, others will be disappointed. Others won't like me or I'll upset them. Da, da,
Or
da.
I'm not worthy enough.
Yeah, I'm not good enough if I don't,
Mm-hmm.
do all the things that I've always done. It's like, God
Mm-hmm.
forbid you rock the boat. But again, you get to choose, you get to decide who you are and what it is that matters most to you. Because I mean, I don't know about everyone else, but what matters most to me is that I'm actually enjoying myself, right? And that I feel like there's ease and there is some joy. It's supposed to be the season of joy. But I think a lot of people end up feeling like crap because there's not as much sunlight. They're not getting enough rest. You are stressing out sometimes for families. Like it's like, okay, well, I'm spending a lot of money. Now that's stressing me out. I'm eating a lot of sugar. There's a lot of things that can work against us this time of year. So that's why I'm saying, what matters most to you? Like, what do you really want to experience? Because it's an emotion driven time of year. Let's be honest, right? You want to feel a certain way. So I would say you need to slow down at some
Mm-hmm.
point and sit with yourself and say, like, what do I really want to experience and how do I really want to feel? And
Yeah.
if you feel overwhelmed, then because you should really stay attuned to and connected to your body, because a lot of the stress, to be honest, is self-generated.
Yes.
Yes, because of the worry and the fear that if I don't do all the things and I can't, like I can't, I'm not keeping up with the social expectations and I'm somehow a bad person. No, you're not. You're just a
Mm-hmm.
human and you have the right to take care of yourself. You're the guardian of your own nervous system, is what I've always told my clients. So
Oh, I love
I
that. I
guardian
love
of your
that.
own, well, you can say the
Mhm.
guardian of your own, like, being, but really the
Yes.
guardian of your nervous system. Like you get to take care of yourself. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. And it's
Yeah.
really about you dealing with your own beliefs about yourself and the feelings tied to them and reconciling with those to be
Mm-hmm.
able to shed maybe some conditioning because we're highly conditioned, right? And all the commercials and the spending and da da da. It's a very materialistic time of year, let's be honest. It's like what really matters and how
Mhm.
can you honor yourself and your family in a way that feels good and not all about expectations, right? And comparisons.
Oh my God, yes. I love everything you said. Yeah. And like you just said, like we just need to like slow down. And when we feel over, like I can get in that overwhelmed feeling. That's my first sign. When I feel overwhelmed, I'm like, oh, I'm putting too much on my plate. I need to put up a boundary. I need to be like, what can I take off my plate? What can can I say no to? Where can I give myself some more space, right? To do what I need to do to take care of me. Because if I'm not taking care of myself, I'm not showing up as my best self then also. Like I'm not showing the best self to my clients, to my children, to my family, like to everybody, because I'm more irritable, right? I'm more like short, I'm more snappy, right? So I'm like, I'm very much not going to be good to the other people around me and not taking care of myself the way I need to. So that's my first sign and ticket to be like, oh, I need to like take some things off my plate. I need to delegate. Who can I say, okay, if you are hosting dinner or something like that, who else can make food? Who else can, can make a potluck, or something like that? Like you need to like find ways that you can take some things off of your stuff that you have to do. And that's what I usually do. But I also think that another important thing to do is to just slow down, like intentionally do things slowly. Like, okay, like I'm gonna go do what like because if you're in that like overwhelmed state, you tend to like I know I do. I tend to like hurry and do things really fast. And this is just making my nervous system and my cortisol increase more and more and more, right? I'm getting more into this fight or flight. So if I can be like, oh, I'm going to like slow down and intentionally do this, even if it's wrapping presents, I'm going to turn on the holiday music and I'm going to do it nice and slowly. I'm not going to be rushing, right? I'm intentionally doing whatever I need, whether it's washing dishes, whether it's cooking or baking, like these things should be joyful and pleasurable. Like, for me, putting on music would always make things more joyful and pleasurable, but like get my kids involved, maybe help me. How can they help me with things? All of that. Like, it should be fun and pleasurable and playful and connection. Like all that's really important, right? And I always say to my clients is that you are a human being, not a human doing. Like you need to just be sometimes as well, which means sometimes we have to give things up and do less, which, is hard for people to hear because they want to do all the things. But again, you get to decide, right?
Absolutely. I mean, every moment we are at agency, we have a choice. So it's just, again, I think it's highly conditioned, right? And we just don't give ourselves that privilege of saying, like, what am I doing right now? And is this really serving me? Is this what I really want to be doing? And how am I doing it? And how does that feel? Because we're not in our bodies. Like, part of the
Mhm.
issue of overwhelm and stress in general, Vanessa, is that we be like our energy is all front and forward and it's very, busyness and angsty and, in our body's perceiving a threat. It's like, oh my God, fight or flight. And, but
It's
our,
literally like I don't
yeah,
mean to interrupt you, but it's literally running the pathway that we're running from a tiger, right? Like
yes.
literally, like all over again. But you're not. You're just hurried and busy and stressed.
Right. Because even if it's, quote unquote good stuff, like you're doing all the fun, supposedly fun things, but your body's perceiving it as this urgency and there's some sort of like crisis, that is not healthy. Right. So that's what Vanessa, you're saying is we have to literally slow down, be more in our bodies, and sensory experiences are really powerful to help ground us in our bodies outside of going outside, of course, that's what we're gonna talk about next. But the music, so you have this sense of hearing. You could put on some, hopefully, not synthetic candles. So I always promote beeswax and essential oils over soy or any other kind of crap,
Yes, yes, yes.
paraffin. Don't use those, you guys. We'll talk more about the in the next podcast. We're going to talk about some of that stuff. But so it's important to use your senses. So visual, soothing things like scent, smell, and then
Mhm.
the sounds of the
Cooking,
music,
kneading the
things that,
dough, maybe, right? Would be like
yes,
all of that. Like,
kinesthetic. Right.
mhm.
So getting yourself back in your body, noticing how you're breathing, just all the things that most of you already probably know how to do. And then we want to encourage you to take, like I just take regular breaks. Because right now the weather sucks, it's like cloudy and cold and rainy. It's like, that's not fun. I thought it was gonna be sunny all winter in the desert. But anyway, so I literally just still go out every hour when, in between work or whatever I'm doing, and I get the light and I touch the trees and whatnot because I want to regularly ground and get those frequencies. And it helps to improve helps regulate your nervous system and balance it out and turn down the sympathetic dominance and bring up the parasympathetic activity, which is what we need to do in order to be in a calm state where we can actually experience some positive, emotions like joy and whatnot, pleasure.
And even if it's 5 minutes, like even if you just take 5 minutes and you go outside and you do that a couple times a day, that's going to make an impact. And it's going to
Absolutely.
like, I
Hmm.
mean, yeah, it's cold and rainy here, but I still go outside. Like it's just so important. It's always nicer when it's sunnier, but I still go out no matter what. Either way, like just feet on the ground, hands on the whatever, on the tree, on the plant somewhere. That's going to make such an impact. All right. And getting that light signals in your eyes. And the other thing we want to do is just remind you to continue to keep your circadian rhythms in check through this time, because that's going to bring your body a lot more safety, because your body's going to know what to do and when to do it, and you're going to feel less stressed by doing that. So if your circadian rhythms are more aligned, you're just going to have a more regulated nervous system and be less stressed. So that morning sunlight again at the first light, and then of course blocking the artificial light at night, which is really huge to, mitigating that stress response, because the artificial light at night from your screens, your devices, the TVs, all of that, in the can lights, the LEDs, the fluorescents, this again, that blue light unopposed without red, very much activates the nervous system. It creates more cortisol. The flicker effect is activating the nervous system. So you can keep things more dim and dark in the evening. I mean, orange bulbs, red bulbs, you mentioned this many times before on the podcast. And that doesn't mean I don't watch movies, like holiday movies with my kids. Like I do. I just make sure I wear my blue blockers, and we have this lovely screen on our our TV, which is like everything is orange. So it's blocking the blue, not all the green, but all the blue. And I cover up, and we watch movies still. Like we can still do those things, but if you do it in a way that you're really more supporting your system,
Hmm.
it's a good thing to do.
Yeah, and I think it's hard for people to realize that that's directly tied to your stress, right? It's like
Yes.
the body perceives those signals as something that would be during the daytime. And so now we're out of sync with nature. And anytime we are out of sync with nature, it's going to stress out your body because it needs to be aligned with nature, and the circadian rhythm needs to be optimize. And so anything that's going to alter that is going to make you more stressed out. This is the nature of reality or
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
nature.
Yeah,
So
unfortunately, we don't see the flicker, and like we don't think about the lights as stressful, but they are stressful because they're making you feel more alert, and they're going to activate cortisol, right? You're going to feel more energized. And this is why people have that wired feeling at night, right? They're like so wired and they can't fall asleep. It's because their body's like, wow, all this is coming at me. All this light is telling me it's noon in June, right? So, yeah.
yeah, and it prevents melatonin release and all that. And I see the lights they have like in downtown, and people are out at night in this town square or center or whatever, and it's beautiful, but there's a lot of white lights and there's a lot of green lights.
Oh, the Christmas lights.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that what you're talking about? Yeah, I know. That's a whole thing. Yeah. It's so stimulating. Like I can't stand the car lights, right? Alone, right? The
Yeah.
headlights. But then like as the Christmas time comes, I'm like, I mean, I always wear my blue blockers anyway, but it makes such an impact wearing the blue blockers. Like it's so much more calming. You will feel more calm and regulated just by throwing those on. I mean, every time it works for
Yep.
me.
Yep. Such an
So
easy fix too. And
it is such an
I can't function without them, to be honest, like
Me neither.
at
I can't.
all.
I totally have to have them.
So and I'll literally turn around if I get a block away from, oh, I forgot my glasses, go back home.
Oh yeah, me too. I cannot, especially at night. I mean, it's
Oh
tough.
yeah. I don't
Even
actually,
during the
I
day when
don't,
it's raining and the lights are coming at me, I'm like, oh my God.
yeah. Well, I don't drive that much at night anymore because it's just too annoying. The lights are so
Yes.
bright nowadays. I don't know what they're made out of, but they're like lasers practically, these white paints and just
I love it.
creating your skull. I'm like, ugh. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like the further I get along, and that doesn't have to be everyone's. Like you go out plenty and enjoy yourself for the holidays and throughout the year. Me, it's like I don't really have any reason to go out all the time. So and someday maybe I will, but I still don't want to go out late.
Yeah.
Like I'll go out at 5. It's getting dark here so dang early now, 5:30. I don't want to go out. And if I do, it's
Yeah.
gonna have to be a really freaking a special occasion where I
I
really
don't really want to go out that often either, but I do here and there, like go
sure.
out and do that. Like, but I really don't do it too often either. Like most nights I'm home, in my bed at 8 o'clock.
Like I remember when I was first, 8 years ago, learning about all this, and I was like, oh, I asked the two doctors who were helping me, like, so you don't go out at night at all? And he was so blunt. He's like, well, you can either prioritize your health or not. I'm like,
It's true.
okay,
Well, I guess it's not.
yeah. Alrighty then. I guess I'll prioritize my health. But now it's different. Now it's like, again, coming back to Vanessa, what do you want? Like, what is your
Mhm.
body yearning for? What would really feel good for you? I mean, I really do think it's a journey to become unplugged from the rat race, so to speak, or the conditioning that we've experienced about what you're supposed to do to just like do what is healthy for you. Why is that such a big deal? I mean, we really have a lot of pressure. Like you're supposed to do this, or you're not actually a real like decent person. It's like, screw it. I can do whatever I want.
Yes, you can. I like that. It's just
That's less stressful to feel like I
you
have
get to choose.
agency.
Yes, you get to
Because when
choose.
we feel like we have to do something or we should do something, now you're on the stress path.
Yes, 1,000,000%. Totally agree. So also we want to mitigate non-native EMFs. We've mentioned this many times before, but they're just, a light that you cannot see and that also activates the nervous system. So if you could not, scroll at night on TikTok or Instagram, this is especially sometimes depending on what you're seeing, right? Maybe if it's nice, funny dog videos that I get a lot of, like that might not activate the stress system as much, but keep the phone screen red, keep it on airplane mode, or use Ethernet if you can. Those kinds of things really help because I think even if you're wearing your blue blockers, but you have Wi-Fi on and Bluetooth on your phone and you're scrolling at night, this is also going to stress your system out and your nervous system. And I always tell the story that we switched to Ethernet now, but when we had Wi-Fi, and I turned the Wi-Fi off at night, the difference I felt in the calmness of my body was really, really apparent. Just like having that signal cut off was huge. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm. Same here. I don't have any Wi-Fi in my house at all.
Mm-hmm.
No Bluetooth, no, none of that stuff. And I'm so much happier. And if guests come and because I have the Ethernet in the living room hookup, but I have another cord and they'll have to just bring their adapter and hook it up. And I'm like, well, oh, well, if you want to visit me, you're going to have to use the cabled internet. Sorry. Because I don't have, I just have the old fashioned style. And is it unattractive? Yeah, but I really don't care
Yeah.
because my
We have the
health is
same.
more important than the way it looks. And when it's not being used, I'll just put it back behind the couch. And it's like, whatever. If people are going to judge you because you're using cabled internet, then maybe they shouldn't be your friends. I just have to say that.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
right?
Totally agree. Just like if they're going to judge you for wearing your blue blockers when you go out to the holiday party, right? Same thing, like like be bold, be different. Like, you're protecting your health. And then hopefully people will ask you and you can say, well, all these lights in your environment are activating your nervous system and causing you to be more stressed and suppressing your melatonin. You're not going to get as much sleep and repair. Right? You can sound really intelligent and they're going to be like, maybe you'll get the ball rolling and they'll think a little bit, right?
Yeah, yeah. What I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing right now for sort of my quote unquote winter stress is I go to bed earlier. Like I
Mm-hmm.
may not go to bed at 8 o'clock every night, but sometimes I do. It's between 8 and 9, and I don't make it long after 9. And I'll wear my blue blockers. Of course, I always wear them right after sunset, but sometimes, like right now, I might put the orange ones on a little, or the red ones rather, a little earlier.
Yeah.
I'm doing saunas. I don't have a plunge tub. Eventually I will, but I'm doing cold showers. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
not the whole shower. Like I'll do it at the end. I
Yeah.
don't overdo it on cold because that's a whole nother, podcast. Have we done an episode on cold
We're
therapy?
going to have to. It's on the list.
Yeah, we need to do that soon because I think
Yeah.
we need to do that soon.
Yes.
Because if you're living in northern latitude and you're not getting the red and infrared as much red and infrared, right? So you're gonna need, and you're not getting any UVB hardly, right? Like right now it's a 3 here, which sucks. Like I'm so
Mine's now gone.
you're
0. We
0, right? Because I'm
don't
at
have any UVB
37.
anymore. It's gone.
I'm at 37 latitude. What are you at?
I don't know. It's like
Okay,
40 something.
you're
I
at
don't even.
40 something. There's
Yeah.
not much UVB, and there's UVA here still, thank goodness.
Yes, we have.
So I am doing more cold exposure. Like I'll do that every time I take a shower. I'm doing the infrared saunas. Yeah, I know walking outside with just shorts and a tank top isn't like the greatest cold thermogenesis, but it is for me. Like I think it's individual. So like I'm more sensitive. I can't overdo it on cold because then it becomes too stressful. I have to do just enough, right? Just enough to trigger the brown fat mitochondria and the brown fat. So here, and all that in your torso. So I'm doing that, Vanessa. I'm drinking my tea. I have a whole list of things to do while things are real quiet. I'm not having as much contact with people. Like I'm gonna color. I have these cool like cards where I can learn about trees and the stuff that I like, and book. I have like a million books to read. So I have all these plans for how to enjoy myself because guess what? Like I'll forget like all the things I have that I can do.
Hmm.
That's what, and
Yeah.
I think that's the programming is like, oh, well, just go to the technology, or go to a movie, go to your
Mm,
phone.
mhm,
Like, oh
mhm.
my God, get off the devices sometimes and see what happens inside.
Right. Like
See
let
what comes
yourself be
up.
but let yourself be a little bored, right? Like
Yes.
I think like we don't ever like, and one of the things on my list is like actually just sit and be.
Yeah.
If you can in nature, that's even better. But like
Right.
if you just sit and be and like see what comes up and what you like allow yourself to feel bored, but that also is calming. And then you could do things like orient and look around, like just you don't even have to know what's orienting. Just like looking around at everything in your environment, like alone, that is super good for your nervous system. Like literally just looking at the trees blowing in the wind or looking past that and see what's behind it. The bird is moving from here or whatever you see in your environment, just like take notice of that. And it could be even at the holiday party, right? You're sitting and you're just noticing, right? And just being like, oh, that guy just went over there and she's doing this, like just paying attention to all the things that actually is really helpful.
Yeah. And I'm going to go on some hikes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm going to go to Zion, but I have a lot of options. So it's like, think
Oh,
of
I
the
was looking at
abundance.
Zion. I was looking at it because when I come visit you,
Oh, I can't wait. Yes. Oh, it's going to be so fun. You're going to
I
love
was
it.
like, we have to go to Zion. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So nice.
But
Yeah.
we have so many options, you guys. I just want you listeners to understand, like we almost have too much. Like there's just too much shit, too many choices. It's like let's just make it basic. And I hear you saying bored, and I think, yeah, that's a good thing. But I think of it as not, I don't know if I think people who are bored are actually numb. I don't believe in boredom.
Mm. Oh,
I
okay.
think it's that they're tuned out, they're disconnected. Because guess what? If you really pay attention to your body and the physical sensations you're having, and then you start to be the observer, like the what's his name, Michael Singer, your roommate or whatever he calls it, the inner like busy talking mind, there's a lot going on in there. So if you're
Oh,
bored,
yeah.
you're tuned out from your own experience inside of feeling
Mhm.
into your own knowing. That's
Mm.
not boring. So anyway, I just had to go
I
on a
love
little
the
rant there.
yeah, no, I love the way that you put that. It's like totally makes sense. I think people don't ever let themselves slow down that much to get to that point
Oh,
a
you're
lot
right.
of times.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah. So, be good to try and slow down a little bit and get to that point where you can actually, tune in a little more. And then I really think another great thing is to like remind yourself of gratitude. Of course, people think of, okay, Thanksgiving, we're gonna have gratitude, but like maybe like on the daily regular. Like I honestly like that's how I start and end my day most of the days. Like when as soon as I get up and it just kind of like inherently has become a habit of mine. Like when I get up and I go outside to see the sunrise, I kind of like just think about things I'm grateful for. Like it comes to me at that time. And then like right before I'm falling asleep, instead of like thinking about all the things you have to do, right? Or the next day, like think about all the things you're grateful for that happened that day. So that's another time when I do it. And like that really helps to do that, like in the morning and like in the morning, it like anchors the day, like in the morning and then at night, right? Um, and of course, like that frequency is going to imprint on your exclusions on water and promote healing through the body. It actually helps promote your net negative charge. So if you can just think of gratitude in your day at some point, that's really important. And another one that I love that I'm doing, which I go back and forth on journaling, but I've been doing the dump journal again, which I think is so helpful when I'm feeling like stressed and overwhelmed. Like I have this journal and I will just like whatever like I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling worried about this. I like whatever worries or fears or anxieties that are coming up or anything that's stressful coming up in my life, I just let it all out and I write it out. Or maybe I say something that I want to say to somebody that I don't actually need to say, but I just need to like let it out. Like I'll do that. Um, no one ever has to see it. You could burn it if you need to, but like just let your emotions flow on the paper. Some people don't like paper. They just need to say it. So you could verbally say it if you want, but not like pretend that the person's there, but they're not, if that works for you. Or just like verbally say your anxieties, like I'm feeling stressed about this, or I'm feeling worried about this, or I'm overwhelmed about this. Like just let that stuff flow. And then I also like to set intentions. I really think intentions are everything. So like spend a few minutes a day, like what do you want? How do you want the day to be? Like I intend for this to happen and to feel this and I to feel joy and love and connection and to eat foods that nourish my body and to get a good night quality of sleep and for this interview to go well or this session to go well or whatever it is that you're doing for the day. Like I don't know. I find that to be those two things to be very impactful. And what I've been doing on my journal is one is a dump and one is an intention setting. And some days I don't need the dump. Like I'm feeling like, oh, I'm not feeling anxious about anything. And I just skip it, which is great. So,
Nice. I love it. Well, what this reminds me of, Vanessa, what you're talking about is how do you attend to your emotional world? And let me
Mhm.
tell you, so this idea of stress and stress versus chronic stress. So there's stress of I have this speech I'm going to give. So this is episodic, occasional stress. And the rest of the time your stress is like very low. When we're talking about chronic stress, that I see the main causes of the chronic stress as basically being disconnected from nature. So your circadian rhythm is screwed up. You have, your blue light toxic, you're eating crappy food, all that kind of stuff. And then you're not getting movement, right? You're not getting cold in the winter, all those things. So then the other big category of that is relational, right? So you have relationships that are not good. You have a lot of tension and conflict in your marriage or whatever in your family. That's not good. And then that's tied to, right, unprocessed emotional pain.
Mhm.
So that is a huge under-recognized and unacknowledged source of chronic stress because your body, your tissues are literally holding the energy of all those emotions that you experienced and you repressed or pushed down and you brace like this and you and I've seen it with many, many clients when we're processing and in a somatic fashion and this starts to like it starts literally coming up and they're like throat gets tight and
Yep.
their whole body gets tense and they're like I can't feel this because then I'd be weak. It's like wow, it's amazing how we've been conditioned to be phobic or have a phobia of affect. We think emotions are bad and that it makes us weak. No, it makes you human. It makes it because things matter to you, like because you're alive, right? And we're
Mhm.
relational beings. So I just have to plug this in here and that's why when you are in your family situation in the holidays, you get triggered so much more easily because you've got all this unprocessed stuff. If you do, if this may not pertain to many of you, but if you're one of those people who gets triggered by your family and all of a sudden now you're acting like your 8-year-old self again or whatever it is, your pissed off teenage self, it's because you haven't dealt with those emotions. Find a really good therapist who knows how to work with
Yes,
an
that's
issue.
on my list. Find a good therapist for
Yes.
sure. Yes, you
Well,
should.
yeah.
I think we like. I know that. Like I think people like, oh, you see a therapist? Like that's like something like a negative. I'm like, oh my God, everybody should see a therapist. And I think regularly, like, and not everybody loves therapy. I'm the kind of person who I could talk to a therapist all day long. I'm a chatterbox. I'm very like I love to talk. I like to talk about feelings. It's all fun for me. I love it. It's like I like a good cry. It makes me feel good. I love it all. Like I'm like, let's process the stuff. Like it's good for me. But I wasn't always like that, but it definitely has taken some time. But I think seeing a good therapist should not be sort of as like something like, oh, there's something wrong with you if you need a therapist. Like I hate that. That annoys me. I'm like, actually, I think seeing a therapist is such a good practice for so many people to do. So
Yeah,
yeah.
because that unprocessed emotion will literally compromise the flow of energy in your body, and your body processes will not work well. So you're kind of in a state of chronic stress because of that, and things are not flowing well, and it's not good. It's very unhealthy. And that's why when our interview with Paul, it
Mhm.
leads to, your body being basically able to not clean itself and do all the things, and that sets you up for things like cancer.
Yep.
You don't want to mess around with this. And it's such a tragedy. And I do think it's a lot of conditioning. And that somehow we got to this place of thinking that emotions are bad. It's like our
Mhm.
whole lives are emotional. The whole point of being alive is to feel. Otherwise, we'd be robots, and people think they make decisions based on intellect and logic. And no, you don't. You make them based on emotion. So let's deal with the emotions. So anyway, we need to do a whole episode on that.
I love that you make your decisions based on emotions. That really resonates with me. It makes so much sense. It's
Mhm.
so true. It's so true.
Mhm.
So see a good therapist, guys. That's definitely there. Also, red light therapy, something I use throughout the winter time. I definitely think it helps with mitochondria efficiency, helps support the stress system 1,000,000%, reduces the cortisol, balances the hormones, more energy. Your mitochondria is going to function better. You're going to have more stress resilience. Like that's really the end of story there. Um, and like taking a nice Epsom salt bath, like good minerals, the more stressed we are, we're going to burn through minerals more fast, right? So maybe take a nice Epsom salt bath is a good thing. You're actually getting some grounding in the water. You can do it at night with, a red light bulb in there. So you're not, stressing out your nervous system, and maybe take a good book in with you if that's what you want to do. Um, we talked a lot about this one already, but putting up boundaries, it's okay to say no. Like, don't take on more than you can handle. I literally take days off when I feel too stressed. I'm like, okay, I'm not seeing any clients today because I need a day off. Like I will literally do that because I know my body, like I know where my capacity is now. And I'm like, oh, I need a day off. Okay, I can do that. And unfortunately, not everybody has that convenience, I guess, to say with the way that our modern world is. Like as a teacher, that wouldn't have been as easy because it was more stressful for me to take the day off because I would have to write so many plans and do so much prep work to have the day off that I honestly barely took days off because of that. And my body probably needed it. I'm recuperating still, I think. So I know that can be hard, but you know, depending on what you do for a living, like if you need a day off, like especially around the holidays, take a few. Like don't feel guilty about that. I think it's really important. Yeah.
Yeah. It's important to take time off and to do things that actually give you joy, right? How much of your time are you spending in a mode of I have to do the things and you're just enduring, which your body, I mean, sure, we have to get shit done. It's like I'm not saying you can just be like, oh, la-di-da, and you're gonna have to be like a fairy. Yes, but you can still do
Can
them.
I though?
You can still do them with a sense of gratitude and that you do have a choice. So you're at choice. Even
Yes.
when you're doing the dishes, like I want a clean kitchen, so I'm choosing to do dishes versus like I have to do all these things. No, you don't.
And
So
the mindset of I get to versus that is also
exactly.
that's the whole mindset shift. If I get to do this, right? And it always is a choice. So
Exactly. So,
yeah.
yep, yep. So, just as far as some other tips here, you guys, don't forget to eat breakfast, no matter
Mhm.
how quote unquote busy you are. So you need that protein and fat in the morning to stabilize your blood sugar and give that cue for the circadian rhythm that it's a Zeitgeber. So now it's like, okay, it's time to eat, and it helps your circadian rhythm be optimized.
And it reduces your stress because when you don't eat, your
Yes.
body, your adrenal glands are just going to pump out more cortisol. So you're going to be more stressed
Yeah.
because the body's like, oh, you have to go hunt for food. We need more cortisol. So,
Yep. Yep.
yeah,
Make sure you get outside and get light, even if it's cloudy, like it's really overcast today, clouds and stuff. I'm still going to go outside, still going to go on that walk or hike or whatever it is, right? I have to get outside or I literally don't feel human. I just feel gross. And then
agreed.
do things that give you joy. Like I think in the olden days, we had a lot more ritual and ceremony. Now we don't. It's like, okay, opening presents on Christmas Day is nice, but I don't think that's the most, like that's not the most wholesome ritual. Let me just say that. It's just
Hmm.
more like, oh yay, we get more stuff. Da da da. Like dance, sing, read poetry, do plays, like do old, like read books to each other, do all the things, play music, right? All that kind of stuff. To me, it's more whole body and whole soul. Like you want to get your soul into it, right? That to me is
Mm.
more meaningful than just like, oh, we're gonna open the presents now, we're gonna watch TV. It's like, really? Let's get some more rituals, you guys. Think like broaden your horizons.
I love the whole soul. I love that. I love that. Yeah. Yeah. No, like dancing, singing Christmas carols together. Like it doesn't have to be all about the gifts either, like the holidays. I love that shift of like, it's not really all about what you're getting. It's not all about the gifts. I mean, it's nice to get a good gift, but it's like, it's not all about that. So, and a
Just
lot of,
expand that. I like a gift
especially,
too. I like a really nice high quality gift. And I that can't be all that you're doing. Like just at least
right.
add in some
Exactly.
more meaning
Love
in
it.
somewhere.
Yes. Go get a massage. I just had one yesterday. It was amazing. Amazing. I actually put this up on Instagram, but the masseuse said to me, she's like, how's your body treating you? And I was like, great. I feel great. And I was like, for me to say that was like such a beautiful moment. And because for a long time, I said this before, like I really did, I kind of hated my body because it didn't treat me well and I didn't feel good. So then you kind of get into this space where you're like, oh, I kind of really hate this because of all these symptoms. And you fight against it instead of allowing for the healing to happen. But like, it was such an authentic response that it felt so good. And I wanted to say like a couple tips when you go in a massage. Um, tell them to turn the heating bed off because then you don't have all that radiation coming in on you. So I always make sure to please turn that off. And I always bring my own coconut oil to use as lotion because I don't want whatever they've got. And don't have your phone with you, or at least have it on airplane mode. So you cut down on those frequencies. So those are just some tips around getting a massage to make it even more of a pleasurable experience for you. But yeah, if you can go do that, that'd be awesome. Spend time with a friend, just to talk, because spending time with a good friend and chatting is always helpful.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and then if you're going to take time to just be, then get an app or do some meditation, whatever your favorite method of meditating is. So really I think that it for those of us who get really wound up and you get constricted and you start to get like, I have to do all the things and it's almost like a frenzied panic. No,
Mhm.
that's your cue to say, I'm going to go put myself in timeout with my app or whatever it is for 5 minutes. Doesn't take long.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to listen to this and then
Mhm.
I'll re-engage. I mean, that's self boundaries. Those are
Mhm.
intrapersonal boundaries that we have to take action or take responsibility and accountability for. But
I
let's,
love that.
oh, go ahead.
Oh. Oh, no, I was gonna say, I love the idea of a timeout. Like, even if you just went and did some box breathing, like, like a simple box breathing can be helpful. Like, that's just a little timeout. And then the apps for meditations that I've used that I really like are Insight Timer and Active. Insight Timer, you can't download though, so it has to be on like you have to have the internet to do it. But Active, you can.
Oh, that's
So
neat.
Active, you can download it, and then you have that. You can just listen to it whenever you want. And that's on the workout app that I use. So it has workouts, but it also has a lot of really, really great guided meditations that I really, really love. So yeah,
Yeah.
just like, and I love that you can download it, And I know we mentioned this before, but wear your blue blockers and just get more sleep throughout the winter. Like the more sleep you can get, the better it's going to be. So,
And I think that I forget that, like, I talked to this young lady the other day who's a client. She said that she goes to bed around midnight or later. And I thought, oh, good grief. You're not getting any restorative sleep. You're not
oh,
getting hardly any, apoptosis and autophagy. And she's worried about aging and she has no energy and she's 36. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm telling you what you can do, but it's up to you. And I
you
explained
have,
why. I explained why. And like, this is the best way to prevent early aging and chronic illness and stress is to do these things. So, and literally, if you're going to do anything, just at least wear your blue blocker. Start with that. And then once you see how much better you feel, then try to implement some of these other things that Vanessa and I are talking about. But tell us about what you offer people, Vanessa, right now to help with stress.
well, absolutely classical homeopathy. You can, and Heather does this as well, but constitutional care is what I'd recommend for that because whatever, remedy that it's based on the law of similar. So whatever remedy we come up with for you that matches you, is going to show how your nervous system or your stress is showing up for you, right? However that expresses, and that will help balance the nervous system, right? So that's one. But then also the new service that I have is the rhythmic movement to help the rewire the brain and calm the nervous system. So these are like these movements that you do either in rhythmic ways or really slow ways, that really help bring calmness to the nervous system and help your body feel more safe so you can actually, get into the healing state, but also just feel more calm and less stressed. And I've been doing them on myself and on my kids and on some clients, and I'm seeing some really great results. So it's really, really helpful for the overwhelm, the anxiety, the nervous system dysregulation. That's really what it's there for. So that's something that I'm offering now on my website. It can be done in person if you live nearby, or it also can be done over Zoom.
Mhm.
So yeah, those are some things. What about you?
Great. Well, if anybody wants to do some targeted work on any area around stress, they can just book a one-on-one with me at enlightenedmood.com. Easy.
I would highly recommend it. You are a wealth of amazing knowledge.
Thank you, Vanessa.
So
Thank
just remember that you matter. Like you have to fill up your cup so you can better take care of others. Like that's really, really important. And remember, it's okay to say no and put up boundaries. Want to end with that.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So have a nice holiday, you guys. We'll see you on the next episode.
Yes, yes. Happy holidays.